This is all your setup for your lumbar mobilization techniques, PIVMs, PAVMs, and modes, all right? So I have the patient about 6 to 9 inches from the edge of a table. Bring the arm up here, grab the legs, flex up until I feel motion at the TL junction, and I leave them there, and I palpate interspinous spaces. This is my lumbar PIVM for flexion. Lumbar flexion PIVM. Take the patient back into extension until I feel extension at the TL junction, palpating for the interspinous space to be closed along the lumbar spine. This is my extension PIVM. All right? If I feel that the interspace between two vertebrae doesn't flex open, feels like it's stuck together, and I want to check whether that is stuck or not, I do my PAVM by flexing up to that segment and then bringing my hands down. I choose to use a scissor grip and a pincer grip on the superior spinous process, and I'm pulling down on the pelvis and the sacrum and everything below, which is locked below because I flex them up to that level, and I can feel if that segment opens. That's my flexion PAVM. All right? If two spinous processes did not come together and I felt the interspinous space stay open, and I want to check if the segment can close, I can do my confirmatory extension PAVM by extending him up to that level and then taking my hands in a scissor grip and now pushing in almost into like a PAV, closing that segment to appreciate the ability of that segment to close. Okay? Let's look at mobilizations and treatment, which in order to do that, we want to lock because that's going to make our treatment more effective. Okay? So let's go back to the first example where the flexion PAVM was restricted. So now I want to create opening at L3-4, say. So I'm going to take the patient, going to flex them up to L3-4, going to have them straighten out the bottom leg. I'm going to leave that there, that's locked. I'm going to change my monitoring hand so that I can keep my finger on the segment of interest. I'm going to take his arm up by the shoulder. I'm going to neutral rotate him down to my finger. I'm going to put his hand wherever he's comfortable. You good there? Yeah. Get my hands back. He's rolled backwards a little bit. I may need to log roll him forward and then relock the rotation. I have him rotated down to the segment. I have him flexed up to the segment. Now, if you lock him up really good, you don't even have to thrust when you minute. Now, if I just take the pelvis and pull down into almost side bending and posterior pelvic tilt, I'm opening the facet on the top side. I'm creating an opening mobilization at L3, L4. I have some counter force of my elbow on his front of his shoulder, not his rib cage, his shoulder. That's holding down with counter force. My mobilization is coming from his pelvis with a side bend and a little bit of flexion. Okay? For extension, go ahead and untwist yourself in. Come a little closer to the edge. Good. For extension, same idea. Let's say it's the same level. I'm going to extend him up to that level. Flex, straighten out the bottom leg. Same idea. Rotate him down to. Re-roll him towards me. Re-lock. Now I have him rotated down to, extended up to, and now I can push in with the pelvis into what would be basically right side bending to close the top facet. But I'm also applying some force in kind of a PA. So this is one where you do use your hand on the segment. Even though I've locked him from above, I can do a mobilization, a closing mobilization here. Okay? So those are your lumbar flexion PIVMs, extension PIVMs, lumbar flexion and extension PAVMs, and how to treat an opening or closing restriction with a joint mobilization using locking from below and above. All right?